Welcome back to the world of economics. In the last few sessions, we have been discussing about the relevance of economics as a subject. We have been emphasizing how economics is not only required for students of economics or some policymakers, it's also important for every citizen in this world. We actually told to reinforce the idea how economics plays a very crucial role in our day to day life. It, in fact, we quoted that famous phrase saying that it plays from cradle to grave, how economics plays a very strong role from birth to death. So it was not an overstatement, it's actually very important to understand from the day you are born, the day you choose your where to live, what kind of food you take it, what kind of school you choose it, what kind of career you choose it, what kind of education, how much you pay for it, what kind of healthcare facility you have it, everything depends upon economics. Now, in this session, we'll discuss about the first level, what do you call the broad divisions of economics, or what do you call it as micro and macroeconomics. Now, the term micro and macro, as they represent by in terms of or derived from Greek word, micro means small and macro means large. So it's very self-evident. In micro, we discuss our area of interest is more to the smaller things, or what do you call from the microscopic area. Let us assume what happens. What do you do in a microscope? You look at the individual part and look at the tiny parts of the individual species. Like that, in microeconomics, we look at the individual units of economics. On the contrary, what we call macro is a larger, or what economists call it as the aggregate units of economy. Now, let me caution you here. The idea of dividing micro and macroeconomics is not that they are different. In fact, it is for convenience of theoretical understanding and understanding the concepts. Otherwise, both are complementary to each other. That you should know it. In fact, in real world, there is nothing called area of issue of economics, which is microeconomic issue or macroeconomic issue. In fact, you have to look at any issue from the perspective of microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, let us take an example of what you are going to a new place. You are landing in the airport or railway station and taking a cab from the place of your meeting or place of your stay. Now, the cab driver who picks you up takes you for quite a long haul and charges you a certain price. Now, price is obviously a matter of discussion in economics. The price which he charges you need not be a charge price which is actually fixed, maybe a larger level by a government authority or something. Most often we observe, especially in the suburbs areas, many areas, the prices are fixed by the local players. Now, this is something very internal to local area. They probably fix this is the price which has to go, which will cover our profit. Now, this is internal micro in characters, depending upon the situation prevailing or decided by the group of set of people in the regional area, what we call in economics a cartel, I mean larger level. Now, suppose what happens across the region in a specific state or national level, the government changes the fuel price or increases the price, what we understand. And rare we see they reduce the price, okay, and normally we see it increasing the price. That's what we see it. Now, what happens? You'll be surprised to know even before the price implementation happens, the charges of the cabman goes up. Here is the fact that the price level is influenced by not by his own decision, but actually influenced by decision of an external authority, which happens across board in various regions similar to it. In the earlier case, we saw it as the price rise was specific, or the changes in price was specific to specific region, and there could be differences. In this case, you see the change in prices, whatever prices prevailing in different region, change in prices uniform across the board because a national level authority has probably made a change. Now, this is very macro in character. The choice of price change is not on his decision. Now, this is how you look at a simple example from both from the micro and macro perspective. There are numerous examples such that in economics. We have just discussed to start with it. Now, thus, economics technically divides micro and macro, which is micro means small individual units. And what you look at it is how the pricing here is decided by the local markets, local conditions, local cost and production, the distance, many things. So, hence, these are all the subject matter of microeconomics. Whereas in macroeconomics, we look at it things which are larger level when you look at it. What is the overall national income, employment, trade, the whether the country GDP is growing, and what is the overall production happens, what is the contribution of each sector to GDP, the overall poverty level, the inflation, the price level, not at regional level, the higher level, then what do you call it as the interest level changes. Now, if you are a businessman who is going to enter a market or a country, for example, now what do you look at it? And you are going to look at it within the country, within the state, what kind of different conditions provide. When you are interested, showing interest, understanding what is the government policy, is it favorable to my business, or the interest rates and taxation rates or monetary policy are overall as friendly nature, you are looking at what we call it as the macroeconomic policy. Now, you're also looking at whether the prevailing conditions in the country or the region is conducive to run your business, that is macroeconomic conditions. So there are macroeconomic conditions, macroeconomic policies. We'll come and discuss detail later on. Now, when you look at, probably if you are an regional level player, you want to enter a new region, new area, and if you look at that, you look at whether that area is feasible for you to continue your business. Who are the existing players? How does the local conditions of competition cost can affect your business? Is it profitable, feasible to run the business? Then you are actually slightly looking at what is called the micro level business. There are such numerous examples. Let us slightly take at a level, like for example in India, where at one point of time, where only, say for example of automobile sector, what has happened is almost until 1980s or 90s, there are only few players of four wheelers. Brand name, famous brand names such as Ambassador and probably Maruti and Fiat. Now, two or three players commanding the whole market. Now, you see 20 years down the line, the number of players have increased. How does it happen? Since 70s, 80s, there has been a gradual change in the policy changes of the economic policy makers, which has actually helped to change the market. In fact, up to 80s, we had only two players, which called economists call as duopoly. So, but various, the prevailing market condition is described that point of time as less competitive monopoly or duopoly, and this is subject matter of microeconomics. Whereas when the government changed the policy, it has drastically impacted, changed the rules of the game. When the rules of the game changes, the competition change. In fact, the larger player, the biggest player, Ambassador, actually started losing market share. The new players come in. Today we are in a scenario which not two brands of car, we have probably 20 or 200 brands of car. The whole market system changes. How a macro policy actually gradually impacted the changes in the micro market character. And thus, actually, when you look at it, you have to look at any economic area, industry, or subject matter, both from the perspective of macro and micro economics. Thank you very much.